It started with silence. No birds chirping, no morning traffic, no warmth touching the curtains. When Daniel opened his eyes that morning, he felt something missing: the light. He sat up in bed, blinking into a darkness that wasn't night. His digital clock glowed a stark 7:02 a.m., but outside the window, there was only shadow. He waited for the sunrise. It never came. For hours, people stood in the streets, necks craned, staring at a sky that refused to brighten. Scientists on the news called it an atmospheric anomaly. Others, in hushed tones, called it the end. But Daniel, a schoolteacher who always believed in reason, couldn't find any reason that made sense. He walked to school anyway. The hallways, usually buzzing with energy, were eerily empty. His students had all stayed home. Only the echo of his own footsteps kept him company. He sat at his desk, turned on a small lamp, and whispered to the empty chairs, "Well, class, I guess today's lesson is how to teach in the dark." He smiled at his own little joke, but the smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Outside, the city grew quieter. Stores closed early. People spoke in soft voices, as if they were afraid to disturb whatever had stolen the sun. Days began to blur into one another. One day became two, then three. The darkness wasn't total, it was a cold, endless twilight. The streetlights stayed on 24 hours a day, casting long, lonely shadows. Plants began to wilt. Children cried at night, whispering that they missed the sunlight. Daniel found himself just sitting by the window, a heavy feeling settling in his chest. Without sunlight, even hope seemed to fade. He tried everything: reading, writing, drinking more coffee than usual. Nothing worked. Then, on the fourth day, he found it. An old notebook from one of his students. On the cover, written in a bright orange pen, were his own words, quoted back to him: "Mr. Daniel always says, when it's dark, that's when you see the stars." He smiled softly. A real smile this time. Maybe the world wasn't ending. Maybe it was just asking everyone to remember how to shine on their own. That night, he lit candles all across his small apartment. One by one, the tiny flames flickered, weak at first, then growing steady. He lined them up on his windowsill. A row of miniature suns in a sea of darkness. From across the street, he saw a hand wave. Then, another window lit up. And another. By midnight, the entire block was glowing with the soft, warm light of candles. Daniel laughed out loud. For the first time in days, he truly felt warm. The next morning, he went back to the school. The hallways were still empty, but this time, he brought a box of candles and taped a note to the front door: "Classes are open. Bring your own light." And they did. His students arrived, one by one, carrying lanterns, flashlights, even just their glowing phone screens. Together, they filled the classroom with a gentle, golden haze. They studied by candlelight. They shared stories of how they'd helped their neighbors. Someone pulled out a guitar and played softly in the corner. It wasn't a normal school day, it was so much better. A small girl looked up at him, her face illuminated by a flashlight. "Mr. Daniel," she asked, "do you think the sun will come back?" He thought for a moment. "Yes," he said, "but until then, we can be the light." Those words spread like wildfire. In the days that followed, people all over the city began doing the same thing, lighting their windows, singing together on their balconies, bringing warmth and company to one another. News reporters started calling it the City of Light. Daniel hadn't started it for fame. He just wanted to remind people that darkness isn't the end, it's an invitation to shine. Someone posted a video online of his class singing under candlelight. The comments section filled with hearts and messages of hope from around the world. One of them made him chuckle: 95% of people don't subscribe, don't be one of them. He thought, even in the dark, people still find ways to share the light. On the seventh morning, Daniel woke early, as he always did. He made his coffee, lit a single candle, and looked out at the horizon. Something was different. A thin, pale line of gold glowed between the clouds. He blinked, afraid to believe his eyes. But the light grew stronger, soft at first, then flooding the entire sky with breathtaking color. The sun was back. He ran outside. His neighbors were already gathering in the streets, laughing, crying, pointing upward as the warmth touched their faces again. Someone threw their arms around him, whispering, "You kept us going, Mr. Daniel." He shook his head, a wide smile on his face. "No," he said, "we all did." The world slowly returned to normal. Shops reopened, gardens bloomed again, and children played in the sunlight they had missed so much. But Daniel never forgot those 7 days. When his students later asked him what he learned from the darkness, he'd say, "I learned that light isn't just something we wait for. It's something we create. And when you share your light, the darkness loses its power." He looked at the camera at the end of his lesson video and added, gently, 95% of people don't subscribe, don't be one of them. Stay with us and keep the light alive. As the final notes of the day faded and the classroom grew quiet, Daniel closed his eyes and whispered the words that had guided him through it all: "Be the light.